Sailor Tarot Magic is the spot to get a reading from Sally, an intuitive healer and tarot reader. Known as the Nurturing Reader at New Jersey street fairs, you can also check out our YouTube channel for lunar and astro readings, as well as our Instagram for live weekly readings. Her rates are affordable, and you will leave with a newfound perspective. Sally is now offering an introductory class on tarot cards and intuition, and is available for parties. Call or text 732-314-0777 to schedule your reading today.
And here comes Milo, big run out of 4. He's going to be there.
Tristan Martin's there. Cannot count out the 37.
Oh!
Gets burned!
Cabot, where did he come from? Here comes Swack.
Up close from the 33.
It's a drag race.
The Magic Man wins it at Auto Club.
After 13 weeks of battling, it comes down to just 12 drivers to battle for a championship. Tonight, it's the start of the chase for the cup for the BTDY Martin Sports Racing Series as we get set to go racing from Atlanta for the Martin Sports 180 here on VSPEED. Good evening, everyone. I'm Justin Prince. Alongside the booth for tonight is Mr. Third Caleb as we get set to go racing here from Atlanta. A lot to talk about when it comes to tonight, the start of a championship battle. Logan, it's down to the chase. 8 races, 12 competitors, and on top of it, a no-bull challenge for the best of the non-playoff drivers. A lot to discuss, and the battle is on to see who is able to pick up a championship in 8 weeks' time.
Tell you what, Justin, I'm really looking forward to this. This is always the best time of the season, the playoffs. This is where the drivers show what they've got and what they've been saving. It's all cards on the table now, and we're going to see the best of the best tonight.
And the best coming into tonight look like such when it comes to the point standings. Remember, Jeff Wright, so far 4 victories. That sees him as the points leader for the start of the 8-race chase. Bailey Turner, Seth Hatchel, and AJ Stravano amongst those with double-digit wins. The other winner on the schedule, Joshua Banks. Everyone else looking to try and get to victory lane, and they're going to be on the back foot as a result for the standings, as far back as 22 points for those who have not won yet, who are in your postseason fight. So as we prepare for tonight, it's an interesting one to start. They nicknamed it Atlanta Dega for this week. It's a super speedway at Atlanta Motor Speedway, Logan.
That's the first time I've ever heard the term Atlanta Dega. I had to ask around about it, but I got it squared away, figured it out, and you know, it's it all makes sense at the end of the day. It is one heck of a racetrack here in Atlanta, especially since they repaved it. I believe that was in 2021, and it made this track a whole new ball game. And I know tonight here in practice, these cars have been slipping and sliding all over the place, but it seemed towards the end there, they started to find that rhythm and started to find that groove of where they want to be on the racetrack tonight. I think we're in for quite a show tonight.
Let's take a look at the race analysis too. As mentioned, tonight's race going to be 120 laps. That's about 180 miles for this evening. Pit road speed limit 45 miles an hour, but remember, it's not like in the real world NASCAR facility where it's in turn 3, it's off turn 4. Lots of drivers have had incidents practicing that tonight. Just 4 tire sets available for tonight. That is all in the pit lane. 3 green, white checkers if necessary. Or remember, with this series, 80% the fuel limit, so it's not as simple as go up to 70 laps. You're expected potentially to have at least 2 stops with that fuel restriction. So right now the drivers are in the midst of getting qualifying in its final couple moments here. It should be a thrower. The last time we raced at this configuration, Adam Cabot was able to pick up victory, but he's amongst those in the conversation for the No Bull Challenge for tonight. However, with the momentum of the last drafting track, AJ Stravano could be an interesting one from Daytona back when he finished backwards to start off this season.
Of course, one more thing to add there is, you know, somebody who's got a lot of momentum coming into this race, winning the All-Star race last week, Seth Hatchel, after completing a last to first challenge. He's coming into this race with a head full of steam. First race rather, of the playoffs. And, you know, time and time again, we've seen Seth win at tracks like this, being a 2-time champion here for BTDY. So he's really on that hunt for that third one. Jeff Wright, AJ Stravano, both in the chase for that as well, being former champions. So it's, I say it every week, Justin, but I'm going to say it again. It's anybody's race here. You know, this track, this configuration is just, there's so many variables whenever it comes to everything out here on the racing surface. So it'll certainly be a show tonight.
And the show is about to begin because the drivers have finished up that qualifying session. 5 minutes, 2 solo qualifying laps to determine how the order runs tonight. 21 starters. Let's take a look at how to begin tonight here on VSPEED for the Martin Sports 180. Jeff Wright, we talked about him with momentum in the win category. He starts on the pole tonight alongside Bailey Turner in the Hendrick Motorsports throwbacks. In row number 2 tonight, the number 57, one of the VSPEED cars, that's Brody Hayes. He'll start alongside Chris Simard. Starting inside the top 5 tonight, the last time winner here at Atlanta, Adam Cabot of M&R fame, with Seth Hatchel off the All-Star race victory in 6th. Then in the 7th position, it's Keith Mayato. He'll start alongside Caleb Weekly in the 7. Rounding your top 10 tonight, the number 29 of Angelo Ronis, and Cody Atkins looks to move that 55 up quickly to the pack, Logan.
And then back here in 11th in the 18 machine, Nick Starling next to Dallas Sullivan. The next row behind them, 13th position, Justin Carey in the 21, next to Noah Mahalski in the 03. 15th, we've got AJ Stravato. Not quite the qualifying he was looking for here tonight, but he's got the speed to do it and get himself up there towards the front of the pack very quickly. We've seen it time and time again. Next to Kyle McGarvey in 16th in that 42 machine. Emanuele coming in 17th on the 39, next to Dennis Faircloth in the 18th position. Nathaniel Ostrowski in 19th, and Max Koss will round out your top 20. Only one driver remaining, that'll be Dennis Steele, bringing up the back of the pack in the 28 machine.
Let's look top to bottom at the running order here tonight here on VSPEED. Your quick keys to victory if you want to get the job done and start off the chase right. Logan. On that note then, let's get things started here for tonight from iRacing's virtual Atlanta Motor Speedway. It's Jeff Wright in control. The Martin Sports 180 is underway from Hotlanta.
Hayes already moving to the outside as the outside line did not quite get the jump off of that start that you would imagine. So he's going to fall back just a tad, though, letting Adam Cabot take second place for now, but he's going to have the front of that line with a lot of momentum, surely coming into turn number 1 after lap 1.
And lots to talk about when it comes to how this package will race here once again. That top line you mentioned, that's where it's expected to be huge down the front straightaway. It's a lot of speed built up around the 24 plus degrees of banking here at Atlanta. That's going to lead to a lot of people zipping topside, but it does burn up more tire with a lot of those people running up to the wall. We have had one driver have to pull off the track. That's Justin Carey in the backdrop. But everyone else seems stable for now. That's the main thing, stable.
That's all it's going to be here tonight, Justin, is just who can complete the 120 laps. That's it's going to be a task. You know, it's no easy feat at any track by any means, but whenever you've got a semi-technical track, you know, we call it a speedway here at Atlanta, but you know, it still has some features in there that make it a little bit more difficult than just holding the gas pedal the entire time.
Especially since it's 131 degrees Fahrenheit track temperature tonight, so this is a blistering hot surface, hence the hot Atlanta. There it is up there on the top. It's going up as the race progresses, and it is a mid-June day like today in real life. It's expected to be fairly hot for the first half of this race with around 3:30 in sim time. Jeff Wright, meanwhile, trying to play the lines, nearly thought about a slide up, but Brody Hayes keeps it alongside. So I'll ask you this question here, Logan, and amongst this, how do you try and decide the factor of do you stay bottom, do you stay top? How would you break this down if you're in the car?
You know, it's always very hard to say because there's so many different strategies that can come into play. You know, we got the tire strategy, the fuel strategy. We've seen a couple races this season come down to fuel. We've seen a couple races this season come down to who's got the better tires at the end of it. So, you know, if I'm out there on the racing surface, I'm probably going to try to run the first 75% of this race on that bottom line, conserve my tires as long as I can, maybe figure out where I want to put that car in on the last pit stop. And I don't know. There's so many variables to it.
Up to the race lead and all that is Adam Cabot, and that's his first time up front. So this is a team grouping that's trying to control the front here of note. It's the Sad Boys, as they call themselves in this grouping for teams. Adam Cabot working with Jeff Wright up here. You also have Bailey Turner in that same conversation. At this point, a lot of super speedway races come down to trying to control the race as a team. That seems to be the case for the Sad Boys.
As you see Adam Cabot make that strong move back to the inside in front of Jeff Wright. He's coming out of turn 2, taking the high line away from Brody Hayes. But it seems like Brody Hayes might have just enough momentum, having Bailey Turner behind him, to maybe stay alongside of Adam Cabot and Jeff Wright and not allow him to make that same move again. We'll see here in just a second as he does come back up to that high line.
That's a risky move, though, in theory, because a lot of teams tell drivers, especially at, say, Daytona and Talladega, Logan, don't switch lanes out of the corner exit. It will take the weight out of the back end of the car and spin you out. Cabot's playing a dangerous game.
He very much is, and you see it all too often where people get greedy at the beginning stages of these races, and it could ruin, especially being in the front row, it has the potential to ruin an entire field of cars very quickly. But so far it's paid out for him. He's stayed in the lead, but Hayes gonna have a good run next to Jeff Wright here, still with Bailey Turner much closer to that back bumper of the 37 car.
They'll keep the momentum swinging back and forth up front in the early going here. Cabot this time having a challenge from Hayes. Looks like they'll better push from the teammates with Wright on the back bumper of the 17. Now, we mentioned the No Bull Challenge beginning here tonight. That is a series of races throughout this postseason where the top finishing non-playoff driver picks up a $5 bonus with each respective race. That starts off tonight, the next one at Iowa, then a couple others later on in the postseason. Cabot is your big-time favorite in that, seen as though everybody else in that challenge is at the edge of the top 10 or outside the top 10 right now.
A top 10 right now filled with playoff drivers at the moment, but all it takes is one mistake, and that can completely flip this race on its head. It's just a matter of the wrong move at the wrong time, Justin.
Yes, exactly. It's going to be razor's edge than margins by the time the tires start to fall off. That's expected by about 20 laps in. That's where a lot of drivers get very slippery. This is one of the rare tracks where it's a super speedway package, but there's a ton of fall off later on in terms of grip. Not so much time, Logan, but more so just how much grip there is to even keep it full throttle, as you were saying.
And watching these guys in practice for the first hour before the race starts, it got pretty funny out there a couple times, to say the least. So it'll be very interesting to see who can hold on to those tires and, maybe slide the back end out of the car just a tad. Won't be the worst case scenario, but you do that too often, you start losing those back tires. It gets much harder to control that slide. We are still 2 rows side by side all the way through the top 10, and maybe even plus a couple here. Most part, everybody giving each other just enough room to keep it clean and really put together a nice green flag run here to start the race.
And this is a track, despite what people may think, that can trend green. There's been a lot of kings in the league scene. As long as you give space, it can keep going for a fair bit. Now, that being said, that's going to make it difficult potentially for some teams to move up to the field. Some of the VSPEED entries are trying to catch up ahead to get up to Hayes. Simard, along with Mayato, are both amongst those trying to slip away from 5th and 6th respectively to try and join up with them. They're currently stuck in the 3rd row of their respective lines.
Which isn't a terrible place to be by any means, especially so early in the race. 120 laps, we're 15 deep already, coming up on lap 16 now. It's way too early to be too aggressive, so you might as well just ride it out where you're at. Maybe if you can pick up a spot or two, go for it, but it's a high risk, low reward situation in the first half of the race, in my opinion.
Oh, trouble! Hard into the wall for the first time today. The caution is out. And that is Chris Simard, who got sent up in the 77 after a slide. We're under caution already. That also collected the 7 of Caleb Weekly. What were we just saying? Wow.
Ooh. Can't say I've ever seen a car try to drive on the wall.
He definitely stepped out. It almost looked like there just nowhere for Caleb Weekly to go there.
And on board here with Chris Simard. See what this looks like from inside the cockpit of that 77 machine. You can see he just gets just enough loose. That's a very odd angle to be looking at the race surface and all those other cars going by.
And that could be a potential race ender for him and for Caleb Weekly. Both of them with mandatory repairs. Remember, new damage model for all vehicles in iRacing in effect starting this week. I mean, a lot of drivers going to have to think about that big picture for damage. Out of the race on pit road, it's Cabot, Wright, Hayes, along with Mayano and Turner, your top 5 this time. So, no surprise, everyone except for Dennis Steele taking 4 tires there. We mentioned it being a tire grader. It was about lap 20 nearly for the top of the incident. It hits pretty quickly for a first caution already for loose conditions.
It's right about where we thought we might see some of these cars starting to get loose. That back end, just like I said, slid out enough, and you saw Chris Simard try to make that correction, but just didn't quite have enough to bring that back straight, going through turns 3 and 4, up onto the wall of turn 4. Luckily, the car correcting itself, landing on the tires, able to bring it down pit road. He may be out of this race, but he does have an opportunity to get that damage fixed and keep himself maybe in an area of getting his lap back. Just all depends on how much damage he actually has from that. Caleb Weekly was able to get back out on the track, I believe.
He has already parked it.
He has.
EOL
With
penalty.
a lot more damage than I thought he had. Justin Perry coming back down pit road here. I'm not sure if he missed his pit box on the first attempt. See that 21 car bringing up the back of the pack on this restart.
We did have an EOL penalty. Was just about to mention Nathaniel Ostrowski got the EOL. Claimed caution by Chris Simard from the loose condition, or first claimed on lap 17 per race control. So just about all set to get back underway for what should be an interesting restart. Already coming up to 100 laps to go and a couple times by. A quick shout out, by the way, to one of the playoff drivers who did not make it tonight in the quest for the chase. Joshua Banks became a proud dad to 2 this evening, just less than a couple hours ago. Congratulations to Joshua Banks on his new child.
It's a good reason to miss the first chase race. I can't say I blame him whatsoever. Like Justin Prince just said, congratulations, Joshua Banks. Hope everything went well. I'm sure it did, and we are about to go back underway green here.
Arnon Sports 180 ready to get back underway. Adam Cabot in control. Green, green, green. And a clean launch for Cabot. Wright didn't get as good of a launch though for the outside. Brody Hayes with the better launch inside to try and jump to second.
It's not quite where you want to be if you're Jeff Wright next to your teammate on the restart. As you see that top line just not quite getting that jump that the bottom line gets. And now we have a new race leader for the moment. Brody Hayes takes over first place.
Adam Cabot elected to stay with his teammate. Didn't want to work with the VSPEED, and we got one on the apron in a slide. Dennis Steele, who did not take tires during the caution, just about crashed it. We stay green.
maybe
Well,
not taking those tires wasn't the best idea.
You just said the exact words in my head. That's the risk you take by not taking tires after 20 laps. It's new pavement, but it's still old Atlanta in terms of handling. Side by side for the race lead, Cabot trying to squeeze. Still dead even with Brody Hayes, able to get the edge. Right now, Wright just letting the car breathe on the top side.
Bailey Turner, on the other hand, not letting that car get any air. You don't see bumpers that close too often, but it's always racetracks like this, and you do run a high risk of overheating the engine in that 24 car, but he takes a peek at the inside there, gets a little bit on the radiator, pulls it down just enough, I'm sure, but Adam Cabot going to come back around the outside of Brody Hayes. I believe he collected that lap lead there. Bottom line through these corners right now is it's just the preferred line. You see Brody Hayes taking back over the lead into turn 1 and keeps ahead of Adam Cabot right now into turn 3.
Yeah, yet again, Cabot trying to fight hard to become the Pied Piper of the field. Has 3 teammates amongst the first 2 rows or so, including himself now. But still, bottom line with the small edges here in the very early going. Of note, AJ Stravato amongst one of the other drivers that are on the move in the Project Valorous machine. He's already up from 15th to 9th to join the conversation for the bottom side too.
Take a quick on board with AJ Stravato here. See what this track looks like whenever you're a little bit further back in the pack, currently sitting in 8th position behind Angelo Ronas.
He's one of 3 champions or former champions that are looking to add to their legacies here. He's a one-time champ along with Wright. And of course, Hatchel, a 2-time champion. Obviously, you want to start your quest for that on the right foot, knowing it's a super speedway and knowing it's the only super speedway for this portion of the championship. It's mostly 1.5 miles with Chicagoland, with Iowa, with Watkins Glen, Martinsville, Vegas, Bristol, and Auto Club in the mix. If you're good at super speedways, this is the time you have to survive if you want to win the title. It's 3 wide, as already forced to the middle is Turner. Up to the point goes Cabot. Hayes trying to stick at bottom as Wright's forced up to the wall.
Bailey Turner's the meat in this sandwich here between Jeff Wright and Brody Hayes.
Tried to go for it after a moment with Hayes. It didn't work out for the teammates per se. Now Turner forced to be the pusher, and Wright finally able to find a hole on the top side as some of the other VSPEED cars do give them space in Mayato on the top. And sometimes it's just about getting that sort of respect, so to speak. Be able to get that nod to say you can come in, we'll let you get back in line. It's too early to force it 3 wide.
It was a very risky move. Luckily, these drivers able to sort that out. Back to 2 wide. Going through 1 and 2 here, coming down the back stretch. And Cabot still with the aggressive move to block Bailey Turner. Although he's got the VSPEED machine of Brody Hayes on that bottom line, going to allow him to get up next to him here. I don't think Brody Hayes is going to have quite enough momentum to take away that #1 position. And he does not. Falls back just a tad as you will see Adam Cabot come back down to the bottom line, leaving Bailey Turner up there high and dry in front of Jeff Wright.
To make clear though, Cabot seems pretty certain the main play, work with the teammates, only block off when it holds things back, then switch back high side and help the teammates. That seems to be almost his play here, at least with how he's trying to handle the draft. This time he didn't go up, but he has been trying to work with the rest of the Sad Boys all race.
We'll see how the strategy with the team play comes in once we get towards the back half of this race. 30 laps in now, or about to be 30 laps completed. They're back into 3 and 4 here. Adam Cabot still in the lead. Brody Hayes still trying to find a way to get around him. Bailey Turner now behind Adam Cabot. Jeff Wright behind Bailey. Seth Hatchel now up into the 4th position. He's introduced himself to the top 5.
So you've now got a V-Speed line forming up on the inside. You got mainly the Sad Boys forming up on the high side in the midst of all things. Some interesting teamwork now forming up high side for bottom line. That's almost too strong of a run for Turner. A good checkup to avoid significant contact into the corner there. So as we continue to go green, of note, we still have 16 cars in the main pack. We've had 3 lose the pack. One of them a lap down due to penalty in Ostrowski. Dennis Steele, of course, from his slide. The other to lose the draft is Emanuele, who is currently already 12 seconds back. Everybody else is within 2.5 seconds, 16 cars deep.
Unfortunately, that accident with Chris Samard, Caleb Wakely claiming 2 cars very early, both electing to put their cars behind pit wall around lap 18.
What an interesting decision through turn 3 and 4. You just seen Cabot apparently doesn't want to stay up here. He just decided to let everybody else go and run the wall instead.
Let's see these other drivers in a dangerous position. As you see Cabot 3 wide with Keith Mayato. And I believe that is the 29. That was the 29 of Angelo Ronas. But now, back to double file.
Slow on the bottom, Dennis Steele. He just about spun in front of the leaders a moment ago. That's why he's on the apron. We still stay green as we go around at lap 34. Turner now to the point. So Cabot, after getting a bunch of lead laps, electing to go back. Remember, the timing of the previous caution's an interesting one. It may potentially become a one-stop if you stay in the draft. You burn up gas if you're up the front. Cabot, trying to join his teammates, takes it 3 wide.
But was not giving Mayato any room at all on that middle to low line. He just found a hole and made his way through it. He didn't quite like being back there towards, the back half of these first 6 cars. And there's contact to the back of Jeff Wright. Puts him into the wall.
Right after a loose moment, slamming the outside wall. Avoids significant damage, though. They're still 3 wide for the point. This is around the time the tires started to fall off last time. 20 laps into the run. It's 3 wide still for second. Turner getting loose, Cabot holding on. The V-Speed entry down to the bottom, and Hatchel trying to run the blue and red paint, trying to stay out of trouble as they get mighty loose high side.
You said just moments ago, lap 18 is where we saw Chris Samard get loose. We are now 18 laps deep into this run. And these guys are really forcing the subject. Still 3 wide, coming out of 2 as Bailey Turner, Seth Hatchel get very close. Little bit of contact there. Able to keep it straight. Still 3 wide, going into turn 3 and 4.
How long can they make this last? Bernie Hayes liking this. At least he keeps himself clean. Here comes the momentum from Turner. Yet again, Turner makes contact with Hayes. They slide, makes more contact with Hatchel. Both the V-Speed cars drift. They both save it. Still a slide for Hayes through turn 3 towards turn 2. Now they slide down the back. Sullivan in the wall. One more, and Michalewski into the wall as well. We stay green as there are 4 cars slowed down to the backstretch.
How there is not a caution there, I have no clue. Race cars sideways all over that backstretch.
V-Speed entries all over the place since sliding. Mayato now having to work with Turner. Cabot is the only other main survivor from the main pack. And that's an interesting one, to say the least, because that all really started with Turner with the contact. Now he's still up here, and the pack is absolutely decimated.
Bailey Turner certainly not making any friends this race, but like we said at the beginning,
caution is out, and it's because Brody Hayes just had another issue, this time with Justin Carey spinning off his nose, and both of them hitting the walls. We are under caution. Now, Carey did say on the radio he was very loose. He got loose and then got helped.
hopefully Carey going to come away with very minimal damage there, maybe just a slight dent in that back bumper from the 37 machine, but Brody Hayes catching the outside wall there. He'll have a bit more on that right side of the race car. Still not going to be too bad. But a lot of these drivers breathing a huge sigh of relief from that, able to come back in for some fresh tires here.
So the Simulator's Anonymous Racing Machine going around as the caution comes out for the second time, just past lap 40. Adam Cabot is up in front for the Martin Sports 180. That should burn set number 2 for the drivers and should for sure basically make it a one-stopper on the gas. It's a much-needed caution, too, for the field with everyone getting broken up like that for the last incident.
Yeah, that's a huge moment to not have a caution on that backstretch incident, but a lot of these drivers bailed out now. I'm going to see a couple of these drivers electing to stay out or maybe just looking for a wave around or lap down drivers. Not too terribly sure. Can't find who that is. Jeff Wright's going to win the battle out of pit road. He is only taking fuel. It's a very interesting call by the 48 car. So far, 2 cautions, 11 lead changes. Been a lot of action up here in the front of the pack. It's been interesting, to say the least.
Yeah, these drivers have had some moments so far to start off this run for the postseason. Again, 8 races for the chase and a thriller to start things off with the super speedways. So now, as things continue to break down here, there's also, interestingly enough, one conversation the league had before tonight was the battle for 13th as well. Cody Atkins, Justin Carey were amongst those within 4 points of each other for 13th place. Obviously, races like this could separate things a bit since Justin Carey's having a rough one and Cody Atkins is having a quiet but solid one as the narrow one comes into the pit lane.
Be Jeff Wright coming back down pit lane. Maybe a little bit of an issue selecting tires whenever he first came in. Not too sure what happens, but this will put him at the back of the pack on this restart, which is certainly not where he wants to be.
But the reason I mentioned that battle I want to get back to quickly before the restart for 13th for the championship, there's a bonus related to that championship as well, because $30 goes to the best of the rest for those who didn't make the chase. Your thoughts on that chase battle going on amongst those two?
It'll be certainly one to keep your eye on back there. So I believe that is going on the whole postseason here. Whole 8 races to determine who takes that $30 at the end of it all. But the big conversation, let's throw out the points one more time just to see where everybody's sitting. As you can tell, Jeff Wright in the 48. He's got a huge gap, 16 points ahead of Bailey Turner, beating Bailey Turner in the regular season by only 2 points after climbing from outside of the top 5 in the standings through the final few regular season races. So I know one of the things that Jeff Wright will be looking forward to is that Watkins Glen race here in just a few weeks. But we are about to set back green here one more time at Atlanta.
Green back to racing for lap 44. Adam Cabot working with Turner goes right to the bottom. Nick Starling, one of the big movers from that caution, he's now getting absolutely ditched. No help
There's
for Starling.
nobody around that 18 car right now, which is not a good indication as to how these restarts would normally go. A lot of the time you see most of these drivers sticking 2x2 for quite a while, but Nick Starling's going to lose, I believe, 4 positions off of that.
All the way from 3rd spot, all the way to the stripe back to 6th. But already the battle of the lines getting lined up. Outside line chosen by the Sad Boys. Inside line chosen mainly by the VSPEED entries. Outside of Hayes, Brody wants his spots back. Already getting physical with Turner before Turner's moved to the inside. But then outside, it's working with the tandem. When you tandem, you get big runs just like that one to put Cabot to the point. So now a lot of the teammates, Logan, are broken up amongst this field here. Outside of those two up in the very front of the VSPEED cars, what's kind of going through your mind now that we're almost towards the midway point of this race, and we've already had a blister of cautions once you reach 17 laps on the tires.
It seems to be that 17 to 20 lap areas where these guys really have to just start to settle down if they want to put together a good green flag run. But for those first 15 to 16, it is very high energy racing. Like you said here, a lot of these teams broken up at the moment. The closest ones being the VSPEED team, Brody Hayes, Keith Mayato, Seth Hatchel, sitting in 3rd, 4th, and 5th. Not in the same line, but they do have an opportunity to get together and get all 3 cars around the 17 of Adam Cabot and the 24 of Bailey Turner. You just have to put it together and work together to make that happen.
So Sad Boys in the front, VSPEED's in the back when it comes to the pushers right now in the lines, by the way. Cabot preferring to run high side, still in line for that $5 bonus at the moment if things hold. Still have the chance for spoilers, though, as the race goes on with Cody Atkins and company in that conversation. Of note, though, Jeff Wright, your championship leader coming in, has lost the main draft. Something's wrong with the 48 car. We mentioned the new damage model coming in. He cannot maintain the draft despite fixing most of the damage.
Every little bit of damage just completely changes the way this car handles and how much speed you can pick up. As you see, he's got the the 41 of Nathaniel Ostrowski kind of working with him, but he's going to pass him almost as if the 48 is standing still. It's not looking good for our points leader here.
Early going the wrong direction, yes, so far during this run. Quest to win the title, $65 for the champion for the postseason, mind you, for this season, per this payout structure. Side by side still for the race lead. Cabot still trying to work high side, inside, still being worked by Bailey Turner amongst the teammates. Starling has found some help for the time being. So we talk a lot about some of these drivers in terms of momentum. Cabot backing up what he was able to do last time this series came here so far with what he's done. Mind you, he's got experience. I'm not sure how much in terms of the depth here. It's been a while, obviously, since Monday Night Racing, where he raced some of the rear-world drivers during that time before that series folded earlier this year.
It's an interesting fact that I did not know.
Yeah, he was one of the top sim racers from that series. That was a series run by Ford Martin and several from the real-world motorsports world, where drivers like Shane Van Gisbergen made his name known before he did so in Chicago by beating out the Cup drivers. Kyle Busch ran in the series. A lot of the real-world racers raced in that series before it folded up in February. Adam Cabot was one of its top non-real-world racers before it shuttering. You also throw into the mix a couple others come to mind. The name's escaping me, but I can tell you this, Logan was one of the drivers that won a title there. Or rather, Adam was.
I wish I was, but I certainly can't claim that for myself. But that's rather impressive for Adam Cabot to be up there with those names and be able to really put on a show for what he's capable of. Like you said earlier, before this race started, Adam Cabot winning the last time that BTDY was here at Atlanta, but unfortunately not in the chase this year.
He entered tonight's race, mind you, in the point standings in 23rd. Only had 219 total points in 13 races. He's currently trying to play Pied Piper. The VSPEED car stacking up a bit on the top side from that move. Here's the interesting thing. We're already just about at that tire cliffing point. How will these drivers handle that? Because that will be right at the halfway mark when these tires fall off again.
Already 13 laps on this stint. The only driver not taking a pit stop that last round through, Nathaniel Ostrowski, but able to regain one of his laps down. Now, just believe it's 2 laps for the 41 car. 3 laps.
Yes.
Still needs to make up.
Needs a flurry of cautions and quickly without them being involved in them. That's going to be very difficult, obviously.
That definitely won't be an easy task by any means, but as we saw, he was back there around the same area as Jeff Wright was. Jeff Wright able to find a little bit of speed here, caught up with the 21 of Justin Carey, but that 41 car still right there with him, so they've got plenty of time back here to react if there is another yellow on the racetrack. You see the 48 scaring the 41 there just a tad. Almost a slight overcorrection into the wall, but kept it clean and off the wall is the most important part.
Still keeping it clean. That's the main thing. But Brody Hayes, he's continued to keep it up front. He's been in the sim racing game for a pretty long time, since around 2016. You know how long he's been around? One of the first broadcasts I ever called on the sim, in fact, the first, was a series he was known for, called the HPP Simulation Series. That was almost a decade ago for Hayes. He was also at one point a mini cup racer back in the 2012s at Madison Speedway.
With that being said, Justin, you've been around the game for quite some time then. You're recalling a lot of events that I was just a pup at the time. So it's very cool. I appreciate having you up here in the booth tonight. Of course, Adam Baker and Alec Martinez not here tonight, as you can tell, but they will be making appearances through the rest of this playoff series here for BTDY. We will put on the best show that we can for you here tonight as we are coming around for lap 60 at Atlanta Motor Speedway.
Cross flags next time by. To recap how things are settled out, Cabot and Turner, your top 2 right now. Hayes in 3rd. They're currently side by side. Same for Hatchel and Mayato. Then you have Ronis and Sterling. AJ Stravato still in the top 8 with Cody Atkins. Dennis Bearcloth, he's having some moments from 10th. He's about to spin it from 10th. The 80 just about wrecked it from the bottom of the racetrack. And as we come to cross flags, he's able to save it.
It's right there at lap 19 on this stint. We're expecting to see, some of these race cars starting to get loose like that. But Dennis Faircloth does a great job of keeping that 80 car straight on the racing surface. Lost a couple positions, but most importantly, off of the wall. As you see Adam Cabot up in the front, getting a little sideways there. He is also able to keep it straight and narrow in front of that 37 of Brody Hayes. That would be a dangerous spot right there, but a spin from one of these leaders would inevitably do a lot of damage to the rest of this field.
Everybody getting extremely loose now, right on cue. Track temp is dropping, however, grip levels are still plummeting. All while Cabot tries to hold on high side. That top line's not going to survive, track temperature or not, with how they're driving it.
Right now, that's a dangerous spot to be. Just a slight overcast here at Atlanta. So that's why we're seeing that track temperature come down, but the air temperature staying the same. Started out at 84 degrees, still at 84 degrees, but we've lost 5 degrees on the track temperature. Sorry, I apologize, 7 degrees on the track temperature, but like you said, the grip is just not quite there as you get some age on these tires, and a lot of these guys already taking 2 full sets of tires. As we talked about at the beginning, they only have 4 sets available to pit in, so they're going to have to be very careful with the remaining tires that they have.
This could be a tricky one, even if it goes green here, because most teams are going to have 1 set remaining once they come into pit. That would get them to the end here. We are almost at the green light on fuel, so to speak, in about an estimated 5-10 laps time. That being said, after that point, it becomes almost a tire lottery if we get more cautions, Logan.
That certainly will. And take a quick look back here. Dennis Faircloth was able to keep himself in the top 13. Timmy Emanuele fell back just a tad. I was looking at the scorecard here. The top 13 were only separated by less than 2 seconds.
Turn 4, a slide from Brody Hayes nearly crashes in front of the field. It's 3 wide on the apron. Stravano makes the move. Nick Sterling does the same, but nearly a spin in front of everybody for the 37. Well,
very curious. Let's take this back real quick and see what happened here.
Yeah, how he didn't wreck the field with the slides, I'm not quite sure. This is currently still live. But he was mighty loose in front of the whole field.
Not too sure what happened with my replay controls there, but we get a chance. We'll take it back a little bit later. That was on, what was that, lap 66 there, Justin?
Yes. Should be 66 to, I believe 66 to 67, yes. Or 65 to 66, one of those two.
Worst case scenario, we'll try to recap on that later in the race, if possible, or after the race, because that was a huge moment for that 37 machine. But once again, able to keep it off of the wall. That's the most impressive part there.
You know who's trying to make some strides, though? Your all-star race winner, Seth Hatchel. He's up to second. Some give and take from Mayato. Mayato trying to work the high side more than anything, but you know who's saved the best and doesn't seem to be loose? Is that 8 car. He looks stable.
That 8 car is always very good at saving tires and saving fuel, so now he's got Keith Mayato right behind him. They should have no problem clearing both of those cars around Adam Cabot, as he has nobody to help him at the moment. AJ Stravato, Angelo Ronas closing in very, very quickly here, so they need to make their move now.
So Seth Hatchel to the point, able to make that move pretty quickly in one of the VSPEED cars. Joined up in recent months, is known as the winningest drivers in this series, as well as in the Somo Racing League for VSPEED and its car team. Yes, on top of broadcast, technically there's a VSPEED team. And right now, those VSPEED cars are 1 and 2.
Now, as a VSPEED broadcaster, you have to love it whenever you got your team up there in the front. Of course, they can't play favorites, but always nice to see that VSPEED logo on the top cars.
Alrighty, AJ Stravato up to third as well. He's looking to try and move the 8 car around a little bit, since Hatchel started getting really loosey-goosey with some of the side force. A push from Mayato to the point.
AJ Stravato's going to ditch the 8 car, tuck in behind Adam Cabot and Keith Mayato.
So again, Right now, at this point of the run, we're about 30 laps in, including the pace laps from the last caution. Expecting drivers to go to about 50 laps, maybe 55 at the stint. Lap traffic is being dealt with. That was on the apron, Ostrowski, who just came out of the pit road. That's going to cost him another lap for now. But these drivers pretty soon have to think, when do they risk the pit stop? With 48 to go, we're in the estimated green light on gas.
Going to be such a difficult call, except who's going to make it first. Once you have that first car come in for a pit stop, it really starts to make everybody else think about when they need to. You don't want to give them too much of a head start on those fresh tires versus the rest of the field, as right now, best lap times on the field sitting around the 31.3 to 31.1 area, currently putting down lap times of about 32.5. So off the pace by a little over a second. Nothing too crazy at a drafting track like Atlanta, but every second counts whenever you're towards the back end of the race.
But the tough thing about that entry, and what we touched upon a bit during the intro for how people are practicing it, it's not going to be an easy pit road whatsoever, because in turn 3, trouble, turn 4, we have a crash just as we note that. Max Cost. You also have Emanuele, who's gone around in the 39. We stay green. They're on the apron. Well then, what did I say about the pit entry? We have a crash at the entry.
It's also, I mean, to have two cars spin out in front of your leading pack, although they were below that apron, it's odd to not see a caution in that situation. But fantastic job by those two drivers to keep it low enough to keep this race green, because we have very, very good racing up here at the front.
That kind of gets to the same thought process as was trying to mention before they crashed it was, well, these drivers are going to have to enter the pits. They tried in practice to go side by side of the pit lane. They crashed it, as you would expect from an entry like that. This is not going to be easy for this pack to peel into the pit lane in a minute. It's 3 wide for the race lead, though. Adam Cabot forced up to the top side. Mayano saying, no, thank you. I want to help my teammate to get to the front, or myself, why not?
Ooh, contact between the teammates there. Not enough to do anything except to slow down the 8 cars. He's going to let the 24 of Bailey Turner get the low line and get around him clear. Adam Cabot now back on the back bumper of Keith Mayato. He's going to reclaim that second position as Seth Hatchel is going to fall way back in this pack. Finally tucking in behind the 33 of AJ Stravato.
So the squeeze-out attempt did not go to plan whatsoever for the 36. Question still is going to stand here. How do you plan this out for this entry in a minute? Because it's one thing from how drivers used to do it before the Super Speedway package. It's full throttle off turn 4, mostly. It's not quite simple as people are off throttle there and can adjust to a quick pits call.
It's not an easy entrance at all. It's one of my least favorite, if I'm being entirely candid on that. But another dangerous aspect to this, if anybody has noticed, the 36, Keith Mayato, having a little bit of connection issue, which does not only affect him, but the race cars behind him, as it does take off all of the draft just out of nowhere for anybody that's behind that car whenever he does blink in and out of existence, as we've seen a couple times. So that's why we're starting to see that top line kind of fall back just a little bit. Is able to keep it green for now, but that might become a factor later on once these cars get a little bit closer together. As Adam Cabot has a huge gap between himself, the 36, and the 24. And all it takes is just a little bit of a draft to close that gap once more as you see the 36 back on the back bumper and the 24 looking to the inside of that 17 machine.
John's nearly eating the back end of Cabot. He hits the wall. That's going to hurt him the rest of the way, possibly. The new damage model, mind you, you hit the wall in a certain way with those side skirts especially. It's not repairable on iRacing anymore per the update. The smoke is for Emanuele once again going loose in the 39. Carey now goes up top side to let them go, but the main point being here, it was expected to be a wild race here, Logan. It has stayed a wild race. For those tuning in, for the final less than 40 laps here, one more pit stop expected here for the field. Up in front, it's Adam Cabot looking to try and get an extra $5 bonus. And the Red Bull Challenge for those who are not in the postseason. We're under caution, though, and it's for the 39. Emanuele spinning around in the black flag photography car to bring out the yellow, and that should do it on Fuel Strat.
That should absolutely do it for that. Let's take a look and see what happened on board with the 39.
So that's what happened there in the bottom, and obviously you can't have someone doing donuts at the pit entry and exit and peel onto the racetrack.
That'll be what causes it in that situation for sure. Not enough tire left to get any sort of good grip to get a run back up on the apron, preferably. Luckily, no other cars collected there. Looked like he might have tapped the wall just a little bit, but not a whole lot of damage on that 39 machine. He should be able to continue on within this race.
He was having a nightmarish time prior to that caution, mind you, on the grip. But everyone else can come in and get some new shoes at least right now. This does get them to the end on gas. And there is still the one tire set remaining. So it's pretty simple on strategy from here. If caution tires, if no caution, hold on. Turner wins the race on pit road.
This is a big moment for your points leader, Jeff Wright, as well. If he's got anything left in that car for speed, this puts him back in the contention to stay in the top 10. Currently sitting in 13th. Not looking too good for him at the moment. But, like I said, if he's got anything left in that car, he's going to push it to the max. If there's anybody that can do it, it is the driver of that 48.
See if he's able to do it. He's already on the save for the pace laps. But it's going to be Turner with the clean air. Stravano came out third, mind you, for that race out pit road. Ronas, by the way, quietly is still in the top 5. 29's been doing a very solid job as the nights progressed here. He is one of the postseason drivers without a win yet, but is now right up there for the top 5 of the restart in the car 29.
We've got a second here, Justin. Let's take a quick run through what we have on the lead lap. Bailey Turner's currently sitting in first. Adam Cabot in second. AJ Stravado third. Keith Biotto in fourth. Angelo Ronas will be your top 5. Seth Hatchel in sixth. Brody Hayes in seventh. Cody Adkins will take 8th. Nick Starling in 9th. Dennis Faircloth in 10th. Behind them, we've got Dallas Sullivan in 11th. Noah Mahalski will be in 12th. Jeff Wright, 13th. And lastly, on the lead lap, Justin Carey in 14th in the 21 car. And then we've got Dennis Steele 1 lap down. Timmy Emanuele will be 2 laps down. Nathaniel Ostrowski elected to stay out of that pit cycle. He will gain 1 lap back and be 3 laps down once we go back green.
That's a run through of those still on track. Remember, your DNFs now include Cost, McGarvey, Weekly, and Simard from earlier incidents in this race. Yet again, though, one thing that was picked up last restart and stays this restart, the Sad Boys having the control car outside so they can slot in front of that inside line for this restart. In this case, it's inverse of last one. Turner to the outside, Cabot to the inside.
Have the 2 Sad Boy drivers. They'll be able to hook together, and then right behind Bailey Turner, you've got the 2 VSPEED drivers. Once again, Keith Maioto and Seth Hatchel. Brody Hayes not in the equation at the moment, but we are going green, and we will see how this plays out.
Green, back underway, but a perfect start for Turner. Not the greatest from Cabot, but he still gets the better inside groove for the 1 and 2 turn through run. AJ Stravato pushing Cabot all the way to the corner, though. He wants third and quickly gets it.
Not quite the restart that outside line once, but we've seen that all 3 times on these cautions and make it 4 with the start of this race. That outside line just not quite having the pace on the restart, but Cabot once again back in the lead for this race.
Technical blip from Mayano on the push to Cabot. Cabot helped out nearly to the point, just about got himself clear. Now gets loose with the contact. Dennis Faircloth, who went mighty loose prior to halfway in this race, he's now inside the top 5 as well.
I believe that is the first time we've seen that 80 car up here in the top 5. Good on him to gain some positions from that pit cycle.
It looks like an interesting moment now for the 80 machine if he can keep the grip this run. It's still side by side at the point. Right now, the speed difference, 3 miles an hour in the pack compared to the leaders of said pack. Right now, lots of checkups that are starting to bottleneck things in the heart of the field. Watch from Faircloth. Right about, just about here is where it starts to bottleneck. No place to go for the 80.
Although Dennis Faircloth had that issue middle through that race, or through this race, rather. Started 18th, now up to 5th. One heck of a day for him if he can keep it up here.
You know who has kept it up in the pack, by the way? Jeff Wright. He has maintained the draft this run in the 48. He struggled to do that last run. Seems to have fixed whatever the issue was. Now he's in the thick of things in 9th.
It's a dangerous spot to be in 9th place, especially once you get some age on these tires, as we've seen time and time again. You know, we're around that lap 18 on the stint is where you start seeing all the action occur. But Jeff Wright, like you said, able to keep up with the pack now. Maybe a little bit more damage fixed that last time through that was just enough to keep him up here.
That boys 1, 2, 3 in terms of the league standing for teams. VSPEED is still in the top 4 when it comes to the Mayano machine. Amongst the other notables when it comes to the postseason conversation in terms of what's going on with some, well, we've already seen Dallas Sullivan also recover here in the midst of all things too. He was massively destroyed for one of the cautions. He fixed all the damage though. He's up to 12th as well. In other words, a lot of these drivers that needed to recover have mostly recovered so far in this one, Logan.
Yeah, it seems like a lot of these guys that did pick up some heavy damage throughout these cautions, like you said, able to get it all fixed and staying up here. As you see, Jeff Wright on the high side took a peek out there to try to get a look around the 55 of Cody Adkins. Did not have any momentum, though, as he tucks back in behind and keeps this 2x2 all the way through the field.
Yeah, that has not worked 3 wide topside unless you've had a tandem so far today. In other words, let's phrase it this way. How do you get the move for the win pretty soon here? If you're not amongst your front rows, it has been tough to get track position at all here unless somebody nearly wrecks it.
You know, Justin, I don't think that we've seen the most aggressive driving yet. You know, once we get into the final 20 laps, we're going to see some pretty outrageous moves from some of these drivers. And I think, you know, it's either going to go well or it's not. There's only 2 options for that, but we're definitely going to see some fireworks towards the end of this as we're closing in on the last 25 laps.
26 to go at the stripe for the Martin Sports 180 here on VSPEED, the start of the chase for the Cup. The BTDY Martin Sports Racing action. Cabot, your highest running non-postseason driver, still in that line for $5 regardless of how this goes as he battles his teammates. Dennis Faircloth the closest to him for that conversation. Now, as well though, as things continue to settle through here in the midst of this run, it's going to also be treacherous to try and sort out how these drivers, just at the very least, try and get some points positions in the very end. Wright has been not afraid to peak 3 wide on Cody Atkins now 3 times the past 4 laps for his checkup attempt into 3.
It could just be strategy to put some air on the nose of that 48. As you know, with the aero on these cars, it's very important to keep the downforce there, especially once you get onto the older tires. I think it's coming down to strategy right now for Jeff Wright. He's just waiting for his time to start making moves.
An opportunity opened, but closed quickly with Dennis Faircloth nearly up to the wall. We're just about at the cliffing point, though. This is where it could get very treacherous yet again with this package. It has been difficult on the grip from this point. So, now how do you maintain the grip this run? Because this is really the run you cannot afford to get loose like the last ones.
Absolutely. If you lose the car at this point, that's going to be the end of your race. You know, you're going to be at the back of the pack. Best case scenario. Worst case scenario, your car's behind the pit wall. So it's going to come down to being as safe and as fast as you can to just make sure you finish this race. It's going to be difficult as we're closing in on 16 lap old tires already. So we're right at the edge of where we've been seeing most of the action. That last cycle, I think, went about 30 to 35 laps on those tires. These drivers were able to hold together very, very well. It's go or no go now. You've got to start making moves.
Still no major moves up at the very front here as we come to 20 laps to go this upcoming time by. Cabot and Turner still controlling the momentum as the teammates up at the point. All this is with Stravado as the pusher inside, Maiano on the outside. Does anybody start to make some aggressive slices now? Starting to show signs of tire issues where Dennis Faircloth, he was one of those who had mentioned it being very, very loose pre-race. He's already had 2 slides this race in the 80 car. Oh, and here comes the moves from the outside. Offset 3 wide for a moment. Wright nearly poked around the 55.
Getting into very dangerous territory right now with the 36 car, with the technical glitching there. It's at this point, the cars are so close together. Whenever that 36 car does disappear, the 80 starts to pick up on the draft behind Adam Cabot, and there runs a risk where if the 36 car is gone for too long and he reappears, Dennis Faircloth might be too close, and it could cause a huge pileup if those 2 cars get together whenever the 36 comes back into the frame. It's very, very dangerous situation right now.
And he's running very dangerously on the racing lines. He nearly hit the wall for the 3rd straight set of corners. Trying to find some clean airs on the nose. It is not working for Dennis Faircloth up top side yet. Now coming around to 17 laps to go here at Atlanta. Another poke from Faircloth. Nobody willing to throw it through yet. Wright scraped the wall again in the backdrop. Right now, the pack's still looking stable. This is the most stable the pack's been today.
Little bit of contact here between our leaders, Adam Cabot, Bailey Turner. Nothing doing there, but they are getting very, very close side by side coming down the back stretch. As you see the 80 car still looking to the high side, and he's getting a very loose coming through turn 4. Loses a little bit of time on the 36 car, but able to keep it straight. We might see a 3 wide incident here as we do. Jeff Wright coming around the outside of the 55. Cody Adkins. Almost contact coming out of turn 2.
He's been wanting to make it 3 wide for a while. He does. Hatchel backs out of it. So Jeff Wright picks up a couple spots with that aggressive move. Dennis Faircloth, he is all over the racetrack, right on the nose of the 48 as well. Faircloth, he might get past in a minute. Side by side for the lead.
A little bit further back, the 03 and Noah Michalski just barely catching the wall in the exit of turn 4. This is where we're going to see it. This is where these cars start to slip and slide on the exits, as you've seen Faircloth on the exit of turn 4 getting very loose, especially whenever he's got a car right on the back bumper, taking away some of the aero from the back end of that car. Jeff Wright's going to look to the inside of Dennis Faircloth, makes it 3 wide with Angelo Ronas, completes the pass on the 80 car, collecting another position. Jeff Wright back up into the top 5.
Door opened up for Wright. He is back up to where he had been running all throughout the early stages. Can he now find his way to the lead to close it out after being the pole sitter? Coming around, 13 laps to go. Cabot starting the bobble, same for Turner up at the very front. Faircloth's tires are gone for the high side. Right now, 6 cars trying to work 2 by 2, make it 7. Here comes Hayes as he joins the fight again. Those 2 teammates, though, are still controlling things. How long can they keep this control going, though? Because everyone else is ready to break up that party, Logan.
Absolutely, and another instance back here. Brody Hayes getting very loose, loses some time on the 48. As they could have stayed together, I think they had a chance of pushing that top line around the outside of Adam Cabot and Bailey Turner, but wasn't able to put it quite together. This is unfolding to be a very, very interesting finish here, as we will be coming up on 10 laps to go here at BTDY Atlanta.
Coming around to that 11 laps to go mark, an air bobble for Cabot. Another good checkup. Mayato giving him some space to try and save things on that top slide. Wright looking for a place to poke if those checkups get a little bit too big, though. Trying to make it a team 1, 2, 3, 4. You have to say, with 10 laps to go, the Sad Boys have things right where they want to be. 5 of the top 6 are a part of that team. Coming at 10 laps to go from Atlanta Motor Speedway. 10 to go for Cabot.
I have to say, I'm not too sure if Keith Mayato is going to keep playing too nice with Adam Cabot here, with all the blocking that 17 car has done on the 36 so far this race. We might get within the last couple of laps and see something happen between those 2 drivers.
I mean, for the sake of the field, they hope that nothing major happens. But with 9 laps to go, lap traffic is ahead. They have Ostrowski, who is up in front by 15 car lengths. They will have to sort out the traffic and quickly and do it cleanly if they want to get through here fast for this battle for the race win.
And that'll be the most important part, is keeping it clean. As you see, the 41 Nathaniel Ostrowski staying low, allowing all these cars to get around him, being as many laps as he is down. No reason to throw any sort of wrench into this, as we have very exciting racing up here within the top 13 drivers, separated by 1.5 seconds.
Here comes Wright's move. A little bit too bubbly as Cabot checked up Mayato. Mayato slams the door. Coming around once again to 7 laps to go. Stravano trying to move that inside line. Mayato trying to find a way to make his move. He's done 3 wide already once or twice today to take a spot from Cabot. More wiggles from Mayato. Wright, no place to send again. No one willing to go top shelf. Huge run yet again down the back straightaway. Cabot yet again clears. Mayato is almost cleared himself on his own without any help. How about that run for the 36 Logan?
It's shaking up to be a very good ending here, as we are now within the last 6 of the Martin Sports 180 here at Atlanta for the Below the Double Yellow Series first chase for the Cup.
Coming up to 5 fingers at the flag stand. Big bobbles yet again from the second row. Another loose moment for Turner. 5 laps to go here on VSPEED for the Martin Sports 180. Mayato forced to check up. Wright forces it 3 wide. Mayato forced up to the wall. Here comes Wright to join his teammates. It's a 1, 2, 3, 4 for the Soy Boys. Wright tries to force his way behind Turner. Now works his way behind Cabot.
Now, we said it a couple laps ago that Jeff Wright was just waiting for his opportunity. We saw him back around the 8th position, now up in the top 4, battling for 3rd place, and will shortly be looking for either a 1st or 2nd place finish here tonight.
4 laps to go.
AJ Stravato's not going to let him get by easily, though, and Adam Cabot still remaining in front of that top line.
No one able to find a way to poke yet. Satchel going 3 wide at the back of the field. Atkins getting bounced around with Mayato. Still, they keep it 3 wide and clean. Still side by side. Down to 3 laps to go. Next, this time by the stripe. Oh, and a loose moment. Stravato off the door. Stravato slides on the apron. A slide in the wall for Mayato. We stay green, coming to 2 laps to go. They battled on the back as it's Cabot and Turner with Wright and Hayes in the conversation for the win. Here comes Brody Hayes as he joins the top. 2 laps to go, Logan.
Seth Hatchel's going to have a huge run coming around the bottom side of Keith Mayato. He's got the draft. Will he be able to make any more moves before turn 3?
Can anybody make a move on Cabot? Another poke from Turner. Wright's getting mighty loose. Same for Turner. Cabot seems stable as they come up to the white flag. A big push from the bottom. White flag is out. Final time around here on VSPEED. Cabot forced to check up as Turner buoys his way to the race lead. Hatchel right in the thick of things. He's been stuck in the mid-pack for the middle of the top 10 all night long. He looks for one big move. Turner works bottom. Cabot works top. Hatchel in the popcorn seat. Coming to the checkered flag for the Martin Sports 180. Cutting hard left goes Hatchel. Turner holds middle. It's Turner who holds him off. Bailey Turner starts off the playoffs and the chase for the Cup with a win here at Atlanta. And how about that, Logan? Bailey played that just right in the very end.
I'm purely speechless right now as to how that all unfolded. That was... well, one, I cannot believe that the spin for AJ Stravato did not bring out a caution. We've had a couple instances of that tonight where it's just very odd to not see a caution come out, but really shook up the entire ending of this race as we saw Jeff Wright up there in the front, falling back to 5th. Seth Hatchel was able to work his way up from about 10th position in the last 10 laps to finish 2nd. Adam Cabot falling back behind him to finish third, but Bailey Turner, your race winner in the Martin Sports 180 tonight.
A perfect start for him when it comes to the BTDY Martin Sports Racing Series and its chase for the cup. Bailey Turner burns it on down here on VSPEED. With that being said, post-race coverage coming up in just a moment. You're watching VSPEED from iRacing's virtual Atlanta Motor Speedway in Hampton, Georgia, where it's the sad boys who are happy boys, as it is Turner who gets the dub for them tonight.
Sailor Tarot Magic is the spot to get a reading from Sally, an intuitive healer and tarot reader, known as the Nurturing Reader at New Jersey Street Fairs. You can also check out our YouTube channel for lunar and astro readings, as well as our Instagram for live weekly readings. Her rates are affordable, and you will leave with a newfound perspective. Sally is now offering an introductory class on tarot cards and intuition, and is available for parties. Call or text 732-314-0777 to schedule your reading today.
Welcome back, everyone, to VSPEED for post-race coverage for tonight's action for the Martin Sports 180, where in the end, Bailey Turner holds off the crowd to win at Atlanta. Let's take a look at your unofficial race results. Seth Hatchel ends up coming away in second, just .040 seconds behind Adam Cabot and Mayano, your top four. Jeff Wright rounds out the top five, with Cody Atkins getting a sixth-place finish. Hayes and Dallas Sullivan, Nick Starling, and Dennis Faircloth round out your top 10. Of note, Adam Cabot does get the $5 bonus tonight, Logan.
Congratulations to Cabot, of course. Unfortunately not in the chase, but you cannot complain whatsoever with an extra $5 and a great race put on by him tonight. But to bring up the back half of this group, in the 11th position, Noah Mahalski in the 03. 12th place goes to Angelo Ronis. 13th, AJ Stravato, after that unfortunate spin there in the last 5 laps. Saw him lose quite a bit of position there. I believe he spun from 4th or 5th place. But behind him, Justin Carey takes home 14th. Dennis Steele in 15th. Timmy Emanuele takes 16th. Nathaniel Ostrowski will take 17th. And then lastly, our DNFs for the night. Max Cost in 18th. Kyle McGarvey in 19th. Caleb Weekly takes home 20th. And Chris Samard will take home 21st.
So we'll talk to bottom at your unofficial race results here tonight. Let's start things off with the conversations with third place, where Adam Cabot, after leading much of the way, does get the $5 bonus. 93 laps led, Adam. Just going to get the W, but you are $5 richer. How are you feeling about tonight?
Well, you know what? That $5, I wasn't aware of that, so that's a slight consolation because I feel like tonight was one that got away. That was so much fun. Had a blast racing with these guys. I've never driven Old Atlanta, have it be that slick, and I felt like I was in total control of that race the entire time. Felt like it was one of the best races I've ever run, and just Bailey Turner just got the best of me right at the end there. I'm looking at the replay now and coming to the white. I started to throw a block at him and I aborted because I thought I was going to get myself turned. Now looking at the replay, I feel like I kind of had that block made, and that probably is where I lost the race there. And then 3 and 4, Seth did a great job saving tires. He was able to get right to Bailey's bumper and push him by me. So I'm bummed that it didn't. I feel like I controlled that race and really should have won it, but didn't. And that's just kind of how it goes sometimes. But hopefully that was an entertaining race because it certainly was one of the most fun races behind the wheel I've ever driven.
Yeah, I was going to say, how challenging was it behind the wheel with the fact it seemed like lap 17, it's time to go on an ice skating rink, it seemed.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, it got to a point where every time you go into turn 3, you're just kind of hoping and praying that you don't spin out. It was, we joke around and call this Atlanta Dega because it just, they've turned Atlanta into a super speedway, but it became Atlanta Dega Eldora. Like it was just, you were just sliding, driving every corner off the right rear. And, I mean, it was so hard, super sketchy. I mean, you saw a lot of talented guys lose it tonight, but it was just so much fun just to kind of get that balance right. And it was like a mix of like every oval style of racing you can have, I guess, except for short track. I mean, it was a super speedway, but there were slide jobs, sliding around. It was just an absolute blast. And congrats to Bailey because he did an awesome job and certainly earned that win there. And I'll be looking forward to the next time that we come back here with the Xfinity car.
So the next time out, though, for the series is at Chicagoland, 120 laps there. Your thoughts on going to the Windy City, to Joliet, Illinois?
It depends on if the setups are going to be as terrible as they've been all season. Maybe iRacing redid the fixed setups with the last update. Maybe that's why today was so good. So I'll go in with some optimism. I mean, Chicago's an amazing track, and the Xfinity car there should be an amazing race, but there's been too many 1.5 miles lately in the Xfinity car and iRacing that just absolute plow boxes. So, but Chicago, you have to try pretty hard to ruin Chicago with a bad setup, but that's not a challenge iRacing. So, yeah, hopefully it's a good setup, and hopefully we can put on another awesome race next week.
Well, the one thing I can tell you is there were 700 new setups built for the new iRacing build last week. So it's definitely a different setup. Any thanks you want to give for the run tonight, though?
Yeah, big thanks to us putting the work, so much appreciated.
Let's get Adam Cabot rounding out the top 3. We move up to second spot now. The multiple-time champion, Seth Hatchel, is with Logan.
Seth Hatchel, last week's winner in the All-Star race. This week, second place. Started out in 6th. You only led the 1 lap tonight, but that doesn't matter. A second place finish is all that matters tonight going into Chicagoland next week. Now, you had a huge run in those last 10 laps, Seth. We saw you back around the 8th, 9th, 10th position coming into the final couple laps of the race and managed to make your way up here to second place. Let's hear how you did that, man.
I'm not really sure. Gotta get my feet under me again. It was crazy there. I thought for sure everybody was gonna wreck. I'm sure you guys could see how loose everybody was after about 20 laps or so. And yeah, that whole last run, I missed a shift on that last restart and just a stupid mistake. Fell back to about 10th or so. And then once everybody gets double wide, it's really hard to pass, even with guys getting loose. You're sort of just hoping the guys get loose and sort of move out of the way, and obviously not into you, so you can get a spot here or there. And I was having to get pretty aggressive there towards the end. I know I put Cody and Keith 3 wide there towards the end. And yeah, guys were just getting loose, and I just got clean track ahead of me. And that one lap, really, I think it was like 3 or 2 to go. Had clean track ahead of me. I felt like a second quicker than everybody ahead of me. Had all that clean air and had, I think, better tires than everybody else. and then sort of was trying to place to navigate through to try and get the win tonight. Ultimately had to sit behind Bailey. I was sort of trying to push him harder than he wanted to go into the corners, hoping to get him loose up and out of the way, but at the same time not just full throttle him and wreck all of us. But really happy with second place finish. Got what I wanted to get done tonight, which is a good points night. Gained a couple of points on Jeff, and now we can get to the meat and potatoes of this chase and really start showing our speed and go for this championship.
Absolutely, and like you said, that we were keeping track of it. It seemed around that lap 17, 18, 19 is whenever a lot of the slip and slide started to happen on the track. And you guys had quite the long run there to end the race, and the run before that, both right around the 35 lap mark. And you did a great job holding it down there. And that 3 wide instance with Keith and Cody Atkins, that was quite the move. I had my eye on you the whole race, and very, very glad to see you up here in second. But going into Chicagoland next week, what's your thoughts after that? You've got a lot of momentum. Like I said, winning the All-Star race last week, second place this week. How are you feeling for next week?
Yeah, I feel pretty good. You never know. This group of guys we got racing for the chase here are really, really good. So it can be pretty humbling to show up and not have pace. But I feel like the last couple of weeks, especially, I've really hit on something. So I feel really good about my pace. I felt really good at the last mile and a half we went to, which was Charlotte. Worked on a couple things after that, and I think I found a little bit more pace. So really looking forward to Chicagoland.
Absolutely, and we're looking forward to covering it for you guys. Before you depart, Seth, anybody you'd like to say thanks to?
Yeah, I want to thank you guys for doing a great job with the broadcast and the VSPEED brand as a whole. Got to thank Nick, all the admins, doing a great job this league. All the drivers putting on a great race for everybody to watch tonight. Keo for being on the car, and my team VSPEED.
Well, again, congratulations on second place tonight, Seth. We'll be looking forward to seeing what you can do next week at Chicagoland.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
So Seth Hatchel coming away in second tonight, but the race win this evening goes to one Bailey Turner. Bailey, you get the job done here tonight to start off the chase for the cup. How are you feeling after this thriller?
Man, I need a drink of water. I need to take a break. I think you can call that a sweat fest. That was one of the toughest handling cars I think I've ever driven in any kind of plate race combo. But honestly, just an absolute blast. Even if I didn't win that race, I'd still be sitting here like, man, that was probably one of the funnest races I've ever been a part of.
It was a wild one, to say the least. What was going through your mind as in the final stages, it comes down to essentially one VSPEED car, or in the end, 2 at least, and 5 Sad Boy teammates, including yourself, and then all pandemonium started to break loose when AJ Stravado got loose. What was going through your mind as how that started to break down?
Yeah, at first, I mean, I really felt bad for AJ at that point just because he's due for a good plate race. But, I mean, I don't know, Justin, if you remember any of the Monday Night Racing races, but Adam and I are, we're really good teammates with the plate racing and kind of can read each other's minds. So there's multiple times in this race where, I wanted to make a move on him and he covered it well, and then I would make a move and he would make moves, and it was just back and forth, back and forth. So Adam accidentally, I think he had his auto fuel on, so I knew he was in a tough position fuel-wise, so he couldn't go too crazy, and just running that high side seemed to wear out the right rear quite a bit more. So felt like I was in a good position on the bottom, just needed somebody good to push me, and AJ was doing a pretty good job there, and all of a sudden he lost it, but picked up Seth, and Seth has always been a guy that can really save his tires well, and that came in handy when I needed somebody to really push me because, I mean, I was on the edge of death just about every corner entry that last run, but there in clean air. So, big thanks to Seth, big thanks to the Sad Boys teammates over there, and pretty pumped to come home with a win and kind of close in on Jeff on the playoff points.
So now, with that being said, what is your focus now going to be like for Chicagoland? I know your M&R teammate and your current teammate mentioned nervousness on the setup. How do you feel about Chicagoland?
And it'll be tough. I think Jeff is I feel like that's him and AJ. Those two guys are the first two guys I think of at mile and a half, and especially Chicagoland. They always have really good pace. So, gonna have to put in a little work this week and kind of figure that setup out. If it's something like this, I think it'll be great. If it drives like a typical Xfinity car and plows up the track, not as fun. So hopefully the admins do a good job of kind of getting the session just where we need it to produce some good racing.
Anyone who want to give a shout out to for this one?
Yeah, you guys over there at VSPEED, the admins for putting this combo together. I couldn't think of a better way to spend my Tuesday night, and obviously all the sponsors. I'm not sure this week I didn't get to catch who was the sponsor for the race, but appreciate everybody's support. And yeah, all the teammates over there at Sad Boys. That was, like I said, one of the funnest races, funnest time we had chatting in the Discord there. So yeah, just thanks to everybody.
Once again, Bailey Turner closes out post-race coverage with the win. Congratulations once again, Bailey, on the win.
Appreciate it.
Bailey Turner gets a 135 for the Sad Boys. They're happy ones for the most part here tonight. Logan, your first thoughts, or final thoughts, should say, on what we've seen break down tonight. The start of the chase, as expected, is pretty wild.
Absolutely. I was expecting, after watching the practice, a lot more than just 3 cautions. But the 25 lead changes throughout this race was just incredible. There was always a battle at the front of this. And, it was not just the top, 4 or 5 cars. It was that whole top 13. For the most part, was separated by less than 2 seconds the entire race. So it was anybody's opportunity to just get the right run at the right time. And these guys managed to put it together and put on a fantastic show tonight. Like Bailey said, I can't think of a better way to spend my Tuesday afternoon other than doing coverage here for the VSPEED channel on the BTDY series. They always make it a great race and a very interesting show.
Now, the unofficial points tallies just got released by race administrators. Jeff Wright enters Chicagoland 1,610 points. That is still a 22-point advantage, just about, over Bailey Turner. So in the end, there's still the right cushion for Chicagoland for Jeff Wright. Your thoughts on the Windy City for the Up There Disc Golf 180 coming up next week?
It's going to be a tough one. Me personally, I am terrible at Chicagoland, but over my years of watching the BTDY series race there, I know it's going to be a great race, and you can't really point out any favorites at that track, especially after a race like this. A lot of these guys are going to go into Chicagoland with a head full of steam, and it's anybody's race there.
So once again, that will be on June the 18th. Again, coverage starts approximately 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time here on VSPEED. On that note, though, it's time to say goodbye from iRacing's virtual Atlanta Motor Speedway. For the race sponsor tonight in Martin Sports, for the race administrators from BTDY, and for the Martin Sports Racing Series here tonight, for my co-announcer once again, and Logan Threlkeld, I'm Justin Prince saying so long. Enjoy the rest of your evening. You've been watching coverage of the Martin Sports 180 at Atlanta. Here on VSPEED, it's Bailey Turner who starts off the chase for the cup with the win at Atlanta Dega.